Wow, what a game! What a game! What a game! Hello and welcome to On Tap Sports, the channel where we cover all the sports all the time, primarily college football, and let's just get into it. UCF and Boise State. The game did not kick off until around 9:45 Eastern Standard Time, but it was well worth the wait. UCF gets the win, 36-31. They don't cover the spread that was 5.5, but that doesn't matter, and Gus Malzahn doesn't care about any of that. They got the W, and that's all that does matter. This game was wild. It went about as I thought it would go. I had the final score being 38 for Boise State, 35 for UCF. Had Boise State scored a touchdown on their last drive, which they looked like they had the opportunity to do, I would have been very close, just a point off in UCF's regard, but a loss. UCF gets the interception out of Hank Bachmeier, one of the few mistakes that he made on the day, but a costly one nonetheless, and UCF gets the win. So yeah, it went pretty accordingly. The difference was that I thought it was going to be the two teams trading blows, going back and forth, and that was not the case at all. It was really a tale of two halves. Boise State in the first half, UCF even more so in the second half. Let's talk about this game. UCF, early on, they force a punt. Things are looking good on defense. They go 7 plays, 62 yards right down the field in 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Typical UCF fashion. Dillon Gabriel looks good, and then it happens. The Tyreek LaBeouf pick six, 100 yards. Terrible pass out of Dillon Gabriel. Obviously, you guys know that. The defender was right there, but he was like 4 yards away from the wide open receiver. All Gabriel had to do in that scenario, and he knows this, is just lob it over the defender's head. He'll get him next time. Bad pass there. It really cost them. They're down 7-0. Then they go 5 plays, 9 yards. They have to punt. They give it to Boise State. Boise State takes it right back. 9 plays, 75-yard touchdown drive, and it's 14-0 Boise right away. Could UCF answer was the question? No. They go 3 and out on the very next possession, and things are starting to get very sloppy, very fast at home. Who knows why? Who knows if it was just because Boise came ready to play? Maybe it was the weather and the drag out of the game. All that could play a factor. You never know. But Boise answers again with a 12-play, 73-yard touchdown drive, and they go up 21-0. Boise very methodical early on. Hank Bachmeier completing the easy passes, running the ball okay early on, and just being methodical about it, going about their business, and just like that, all the way from Idaho, they're up 21-0. The crowd was simmering. They're probably exhausted at this point, waiting to get into the game for all that time, and now their team's down 21-0. And we're going to talk about this. The resiliency of UCF was very, very desirable last night. They answered right away in this case with a 3-play, 52-yard drive in 1 minute and 27 seconds. And that was the story of the day, particularly in the second half for the Knights. They really got it going, and they played that fast-paced tempo, but also ran the ball throughout. So it was just very impressive the way they were still able to play up tempo, but commit to the running game the way that they did on that drive. It was 3 plays, like I said. Isaiah Bowser started it off with a 30-yard run. Gabriel with a 22-yard run on the very next play, and then he finishes it off with a 23-yard touchdown pass. That made it 21-7. Gabriel up to that point looked very uncomfortable, didn't really look to be himself, was hurrying throws, throwing off his back foot, all that bad stuff that you don't want to see. He had 11 interceptions coming into this game in his entire career. He ended up throwing 2 in this one, both to the same guy, Tyreek LaBeouf. Bowser was the difference maker in this game and in general, just getting UCF back through his tough nose running. But don't just give all the credit to Bowser. You got to give it to the big hosses up front. They're the ones who open the lanes. I'll go over some more about Bowser, but 32 carries, 170 yards, and a touchdown, 5.3 yards per carry. Very impressive debut for him for UCF. Boise State makes it a field goal, makes it 24-7, and then UCF another stalled drive right after that, and the Boo Birds start to come out. Maybe rightfully so. Listen, I personally have never been a booer. Not of my team, usually not of the other team. I just kind of sit there and mind my business when I'm in the stands. But I have to say that I'm also a fan of these college athletes. A lot of people say they're just kids. They're not really just kids, are they? Are they? I mean, they're at least 18 years old. Many of them are up to 21 years old, 22 years old. They're not really just kids. They need to learn how to handle criticism just the way anybody else does at that age, in my opinion. Maybe some people disagree with that. But I got to give kudos to the UCF Knights. They ignored the noise. They ignored all the noise. They ignored the hoopla of Boise State going up 24-7 early. They ignored the boo birds coming out. They just stuck to their game plan, and it was a very good game plan. Great job by Gus Malzahn having his team not ready for the game, but ready to punch back when push came to shove. And I'm not going to be too hard on the crowd, by the way, because you'll see later, I think they were a big key to why UCF was able to come back the way they did and get this win. UCF, huge drive to end the first half. 7 plays, 74 yards. Gabriel on that drive, he was 5 for 7. It was all passing, obviously, for 74 yards, and that happened in 1 minute and 21 seconds. Had they not answered in that fashion, I don't know if we're still waking up to a UCF win the next day. I'll tell you that. And they did exactly what you hope to do when you have the ball last at the end of the half and then get it first in the third quarter. They scored a touchdown, and then right away out the gates at halftime, they come out on fire. 8 plays for 84 yards. The big play to Jaylon Robinson for 47 yards, and it's 24-21. And at that time, and especially at halftime, if you're UCF, you got to be thinking, how in the world at halftime is it 24-14? And then first drive, touchdown right away. How in the world is it 24-21? You have literally played some of your worst balls, some of the worst ball you're going to play all season, yet you find yourself only down 3. That's got to be very encouraging, and the crowd starting to get back into it. And they really, honestly, they barely left to begin with. They didn't leave much to begin with. They were loud even when it was 24-7. You got another touchdown. You get a safety. Boise answers to make it 31-30 after a turnover that you had. The second interception by Tyreek LaBeouf. There's 8 minutes left in the game, and it's anyone's ball game at this point. Anyone can take it. We'll see who wants it more. I'd say UCF at that point had the upper hand. They had all the momentum. They're at home. Boise's all the way from Idaho. That does make a difference. These are college kids. It's tough to travel that far out, especially when you're an entire team doing it. A lot of people are going to get rattled on that situation, and I think Boise State did. UCF then makes it 36-31 to complete the comeback, but in order to finally put a nail in the coffin, they got to stop Boise State, and they do. They get that rare interception out of Hank Bachmeier in this game. Bachmeier played exceptionally well. We'll cover that in more detail. He played really well considering his lack of run game and run support, but he threw a bad interception when it mattered most. I'm not going to be too hard on him. I think he played great considering, and I think he was one of Boise State's best players last night personally. Let's talk about 5 reasons why UCF was able to not only come back, but finish the comeback. No particular order. Number 1, the crowd never left the team. I said it. They started to boo. That is what it is. You got to give criticism when criticism is due, but at the end of the day, they remained optimistic. Like their team, they remained resilient. They fought back. They continued to be loud. They understood that the crowd was the huge advantage in this game on a Thursday night primetime television after a late delay kickoff. It was huge. The crowd, phenomenal in Orlando at the Bounce House. They needed that. I don't know. Actually, I do know. I don't think that UCF wins that game if this was played anywhere else at a neutral site, especially not if it was at Boise State. The crowd was a huge factor. Number 2, UCF stopped the run. Boise State ran the ball 24 times for just 49 yards. That's just over 2 yards per carry. That is not very good if you're Boise State. That is excellent if you are UCF. Big Cat Bryant was, as advertised, 3 tackles in this game, 1 solo, half a tackle for loss, and 2 hurries. He was mentioned in the preview. He was mentioned all throughout the broadcast of this game, and rightfully so. He comes from Auburn, and he dominates. He puts honor to his name there. I'm telling you, he was a big factor, as well as UCF's front 4 in general. Got a lot of pressure and really stopped the run. Run stoppers. That was the biggest thing, because 24 for 49 yards, man. You made it very, very difficult for Bachmeier to be able to win this game. I mean, Bachmeier went 25 for 39, 263 yards, 2 touchdowns, and just that 1 interception at the end of the game. Those are pretty good numbers, especially when you consider that your team only ran for 49 yards. That's very good. I was impressed with Bachmeier. He took care of the ball for the most part. He was methodical, patient with his throws. I thought a lot of good things out of Bachmeier all in all, and even more so when you consider the fact that you had absolutely no help from your running game. That's very difficult to do as a quarterback. Number 3, on the opposite end, UCF ran the ball well. They ran 48 times for 255 yards. That's 5.3 yards per carry. In fact, they had 3 guys carry the ball in this game that all averaged 5.3 yards per carry. I thought that was pretty coincidental. Gabriel had 12 for 64 on the ground. Bowser 32 for 170, as we mentioned earlier. And Bowser, I'm going to go ahead and offer an apology if he was ever to watch this video as well as the preview video that went along with this one. I saw him a lot at Northwestern as a Michigan fan, and I kind of thought he looked slow and wasn't very shifty. I changed my mind on him completely. That must have been under the Northwestern line and the lack of offensive help, lack of help from his quarterback who, wasn't as good. The Northwestern offense, obviously, maybe not as high octane or fun or fast paced as this UCF offense. And now Bowser is a beneficiary of that and is able to show what he is capable of under that kind of system as opposed to the slow, boring, plain offense of the Northwestern Wildcats. So Bowser showed me plenty of shiftiness, and looks like he may have slimmed up. I'd have to look up on that, but he looks like he may have slimmed up and got a little bit quicker in general, but I can't tell for sure if that's just because of the style of play that UCF plays or if that's really the fact. But all in all, I owe him an apology. He played excellent, and his running as well as the 5 men up front, the big hosses, is a huge, ginormous reason why UCF got this win. Number 4, Boise couldn't handle that up-tempo offense. They kind of had a plan and an answer for it early on, but over time, as the gears started to grind, UCF took advantage of Boise State's, I guess, lack of athleticism, not as quick, being out of place, not being used to that kind of up-tempo style. UCF really took care of business offensively once they got used to what Boise was doing. And 5, and probably most importantly, they had a ton of resolve in this game. They did not quit. They kept fighting. They kept to their game plan. Gus Malzahn, with all his experience, did a great job there. You play in the big leagues in the SEC, you understand that you got to stick to your game plan when you know your game plan's good. They did exactly that. They continued to run up-tempo and just continued to understand that they felt they were the better team and they would get the win in the long run. They did that. So kudos to them, kudos to the crowd, kudos to all you UCF Knights fans out there. Sorry that I called you the Golden Knights. I'm sorry, man. I slipped, When you're doing these YouTube videos, you're trying to get a bunch of stuff out real quickly, and I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes you forget things, and it is what it is. All right, that is the reaction video for UCF and Boise State. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you for the next one. I'll have plenty of reactions coming out, and I got funny videos coming out, comedy things, how Michigan and Ohio State fans watch week such and such games, all kinds of good stuff. It's going to be great. This channel is going to grow and boom here in the 2021 college football season. I hope you'll be a part of it. Until then, God bless. Have a great rest of your Friday, guys.